In week 5 of season 4, Midasonic released 4 creator-made rounds. And I'll be showing you the best routes you should take along with some tricks to make these maps a little bit easier. The thing with this map is that it's all about finding the path that you can constantly hit every time. The map is made with 2 sides in mind, the left side and the right side. And as you play more and more, you'll find that you're comfortable going down one particular side over the other. However, with the element of other players, you might not reach your ideal side first. So definitely practice both sides so you have more chances of making it. However, once you get really efficient with this map, you'll definitely have a route pre-planned. I'll do my best to show you as many routes as I possibly can. For the first section, I personally prefer to start from the right side, then I'll jump to the left side of the second platform, then I'll aim for the wide block and jump dive between the bollards, and finally I'll dive to finish off section 1. If you choose to tackle this from the left side, however, do the same as before, but aim for the right of the second platform as you'll be able to jump dive to the middle. The second zone is by far the easiest once you learn it. Just like in the first one, go down both sides and find what feels natural to you. The side I always take is the left one. I'll jump for the first belt, then right before I reach the end of it, I'll aim for the center and make my way back to the left side. If you choose to do it from the right side, however, it's basically the same thing, but it's to your right rather than your left. Basically, both the routes are basically a mirror of each other. The thing that makes me and others fall off constantly is jumping too early and moving your character way too much when you land. When you're in midair, you think you won't make it or you'll land at a bad angle, so you try and overcorrect by moving a joystick, and really that causes you to fall. Now this is much easier said than done. What we should do is move your left joystick while in midair, but only make tiny adjustments. This is incredibly hard to showcase on video, but you can see me make microscopic adjustments when I'm in the air. This concept of micro adjustments actually carries over to the other 3 creator made rounds as well, and it's just something that will take a lot of time and a lot of practice, so just don't feel bad if you can't get it quite in the first few tries. Let's move on to the third section, and personally the destroyer of all my speedruns. The thing that causes people to fail is that they either don't get enough momentum from the discs, jump too late and lose all the momentum they gathered, or they just hit it at a bad angle. The first disc is relatively simple since it moves quite slow. You land at the bottom and you then run to the left side and jump to the right bollard, as that's the one you'll be launched to, but you can also jump to the left one if that's what you prefer. Oddly enough, you can jump in the middle of the 2 bollards and also make it as well. And as for the second disc, this one moves faster, so soak up all the momentum that you can and then aim for the left one, as that's what you'll get flunked to if you spun around fully. At times you may jump in place, try and stay on the bollard and jump on it a few times and you could make it across. The only way you'll get better at this section and this map in general is just to do it over and over and over again. Once you reach the fourth section, you think you will need to slide dive on the patches of slime, and while you can do that, it is incredibly tricky to pull off consistently, so the best thing you can do is to just jump. When you get off the disc, the right side will be the closest to you, so I would recommend practicing that side as much as possible. No matter if you take the right side or the left side, you will have to zigzag from one side to the other. For the right side, you first jump to the block and then land in the middle. You then aim to go to the left side and jump a little late, and you then make your way back to the right side. Due to the disc dropping you off near the right side, going to the left side is slightly slower due to the fact that you actually have to go out of your way to walk there. But the left side is still a viable option, especially if you're in the lead. Going down the left side is basically the same steps as before, where you're going to go to the right conveyor belt and then zigzag back to the left side. In order to get on the slime slide itself, you will actually have to jump dive. Then once you reach the end of it, jump and you'll be able to land on the disc. You then walk to the left side following the flow of the disc and then jump dive to the checkpoint. If you want to be extra safe when jumping off the slide, you can jump dive onto the disc. However, jumping off the slide is slightly faster but slightly risky due to the camera being covered by the top platform. Oh boy, the final section. I've personally always taken the left side. I just can't pass the hammer while on the right. For this, I'll say to only attack it from the left side, but I do think it's possible to do it from the right, however. Once you get on the first belt, with the speed, you're actually able to lunge yourself and you'll make it. Do that one more time, then let the hammer pass and jump onto the slime platform, then jump dive onto the last patch and make your way to the finish line. Alternatively, you could jump dive on the first patch, then jump onto the last one. This section is all personal, so tackle it however you wish. I personally find jumping on the first and second blocks to be much easier, but I sometimes dive on the first block, then I'll jump on the second one. It just really depends on where I am and just what's going through my head. And finally, jump dive onto the final slime slide, and don't worry, the hammers will not hit you. Then once you reach the very end, just make sure to jump dive for the finish line. Once you do the sections over and over again, you'll get a sense for the timing. Some sections will be easier than others. If you want to practice the map by yourself, if you go to the show selector, click on custom shows, and click host and go to the pick and mix tab, you'll find Terrabyte Trial along with the other creator made rounds, which you can play all by yourself. This could change whenever you're watching this, so hopefully it'll still be in customs in the future, but for now, that's where you can find them. This is a way to practice a map worry-free, as you'll be the only one playing. It also has a 10-minute timer. Here's my personal best time for you guys to hyper-analyze. A time of 45 seconds and 69 milliseconds. Once you figure out how this map works, it's really simple. The best place to spawn is the left side. You jump dive on the first two drums, then skip the last one and dive onto the left side fan. If you did it correctly, you'll be shot up with ease. And this can be tricky to pull off, but with some practice, you'll get it. You can dive on all three pads if you want, but the chances of you getting body blocked is much higher. Do make sure to stay a little to the right when taking the left fan so you don't hit the hammers when going up. And if you took the right side fan, stick a little to the left instead. Upon reaching the second section of the map, jump dive on the two drums, and for the third one, just jump on it like normal and just be really close to the fan. If you're far from it, it won't blow you all the way. It doesn't matter what side you take, just make sure you're near the fan and you get blown across every time. The third section is particularly annoying. For this one, you want to jump to the drum right when the blast comes out. The timing is a little tricky, but the instant it comes out, you'll just have to lunge yourself towards the drum. And if you do that correctly, you will make it through. And if anything, the last blaster will knock you down to the checkpoint. It doesn't matter which side you take, since the timings are the same for either side. As for the final section, get on whatever glove you want. I personally prefer the left side, and once you've landed on the pad, move your character to the left side and around the wall. Then dive onto the pad and land on top of the wall. Do make sure you hit the final drum and you can hit the top part of the finish line and qualify. You don't have to go through the small opening in the middle. If you chose to go to the right side, land on the pad and move around the wall from the right side, and it's basically the same as before. The first section is arguably the toughest part, as a bad landing or being a little off means you get hit by the gloves. Here's my personal record, a time of 31 seconds and 98 milliseconds for you guys to hyperanalyze. Funny enough, out of all the rounds of week 5, this one took me the longest to get my first win. It took me 10 games in fact. The best side is by far the right side, as you'll need to stay there for the second section as well. However, take whatever path is the closest to you and make sure to walk across the blue padding. And once you reach the end of the belt, you're able to jump over the gap. If you're coming from the right side, position yourself to the left of the belt and jump. If however you're coming from the left side, then position yourself to the right edge, and finally, if you're coming from the center, run down the middle and jump. I will say, sometimes you just won't have the momentum, so if you try to jump, you'll actually miss the belt. So if anything, just jump dive. It is a little slower, it does slow you down slightly, but it is safer. And once you make it, go to the right side, as you'll need to be there for the next section. And right before the end of the belt, jump and you should make it. While on this section, make your way to the right corner and jump to the other side. Or alternatively, you could jump dive. Head to the center and jump on the elevated platform. You then jump and the fan will blow you across. Once you've cleared some distance, dive so you fall down quickly, but don't do it too early, otherwise you won't get very far. And don't dive too late, otherwise you'll be in the air for too long. Once you land, you should be right next to this purple block right here. This section is simple enough. Let the axe pass, and once the coast is clear, jump over the gap. Go a little to the left and jump right before the end of the belt, jump over the first gap, and then jump dive over the next one. The bollard section can be tricky at first, but it's very simple once you get the hang of it. I personally attack this section from the left side. I jump on top of the bollard and then stick to the left. If you're finding it tricky to jump on the bollard, what I'll sometimes do is I'll jump and then I'll move my character in midair, and that'll slow me down just enough to land on the bollard. Then once you've passed that section, you can sidestep this bollard right here, as well as being able to jump dive over the bollards and onto the checkpoint. However, while you can run down the middle and just jump dive over the bollards itself, it's definitely recommended that you go to the left side and then jump dive to the checkpoint. The reason why you want to go to the left side is because it's actually faster to get on the belt if you're at the left. And just like the other fan sections, you gotta jump right before the end of the belt and make sure to dive onto the incoming belt, otherwise you won't make it. And just do that one more time and you're done. Here's my fastest time on this map, a time of 53 seconds and 22 milliseconds. This one feels the most satisfying speedrun in my opinion. Go down whatever side is closest to you, but stick to the very top of the belt. If you're going on the left belt, stick to the top left of the belt. If you're going to the right side, stick to the top right. And once you reach the end of the first section, you don't have to jump over this gap right here. You can just walk over it. If you're on the second belt and the axe is up, you'll be able to jump over the gap and land on your feet. Though you can jump dive over the gap, but it's slightly slower as you'll have to get up, whereas with landing on your feet, you can keep running. The 3 belts with the 1 axe is an incredibly simple section, especially if the axe is on the blue and you're about to get on it. This section seems tricky at first. When at the top of the hill, go to where the first pendulum is and make your way to the right side, and you'll pass this section easily and every time. A fast way to go down the hill is to actually just run and jump. This is where the real fun begins. You think you would need to jump dive onto the belt, however you don't. You can just jump towards it. Wait until the coast is clear and just jump to the disc. Basically just rinse and repeat the same steps until you reach the checkpoint. This section can be done differently depending on your comfort level. What most people do is they'll land on the right side belt and move to the left and then zigzag across the bollard section just like this. However, let me blow your mind potentially with some of these strategies. When going up the fan, land on the left side and just stay there. Then jump for the left edge and just walk on it. You'll have enough space to just barely make it through. This can be very difficult to pull off at first, but if you've been playing Terrabyte Trial, this is just basically a cakewalk. Here's an easy way of pulling off this strategy, and you actually have to employ a technique called zombie walking. Zombie walking walking is where you hold out grab while walking. Basically, the reason why it gets that name is, well, because you look like a zombie when you're walking. It has the benefit of slowing you down, which makes it much easier to do. Once you've gotten the hang of it via zombie walking, try to do it without holding grab. Though some will argue this will make you dependent on it, but I think it's like training wheels on your bicycle. Basically, the way you're moving is actually the same, you're just slowing yourself down a little bit. So once you let go of grab, you will gain a little bit of speed, but you still know what to do just because you've gotten those movements ingrained in your muscle memory. Either way, once you've passed a section, stick to the left side and you can actually just jump across the blocks. Then aim for the left and then zigzag across by jumping. Another thing you can do is you can actually aim for the right belt and jump dive to it. Personally, I find the first stretch to be easier to perform. And as for the final stretch, just zigzag across, and if you see the axe in front of you and you're near it, that's actually the best case scenario because it'll be out of your way when you need to jump. If you need to slow down slightly, just spin your character in place and it's just one of the best ways to slow yourself down in a pinch. Like with the axe, if the pendulum is right in front of you and you're a bit behind, it'll be out of your way by the time you reach it. If anything, don't try a jump dive when it's coming back around. You'll get hit and it could potentially be game over. You can actually just jump straight into the finish line. However, I recommend you jump dive to the finish line as it's slightly faster. Here's my fastest time on this map, a time of 1 minute, 5 seconds, and 34 milliseconds. And thank you to our Max Term members for your continued support. Click this video right here for a 1-hour breakdown on Fall Guys Season 4.